All right, after chapter or module 5, the important points are fourfold. The first one I thought was really interesting, and this didn't happen until I got through the end of them, was this discussion of stress and coping. And I think in the context of social and cultural determinants, especially in the context of health, but health as a holistic umbrella for the idea of health, well-being, your sense of self. This stress and coping is so critical in our world today. I think the temptation to try to conform, the pressures to conform, and even the pressures as people get out of conformity into post-conformity or their own kind of nihilistic even uh, existence, the stress of just, or let me say it the other way, the lack of peace, the absence of peace of mind is what's really the challenge here. And so I want to give you 3 words to consider in the context of that. Consider how your stress and coping is taught, and specifically how it's given to you in culture. Another phrase might be caught in terms of culture, how it's educated, and that's in life and the experiences of life, but also the meaning that you create. And then the third piece is in practice. And what are the practices that you bring to bear in the context of your stress and coping? And those questions are critically important in this day and age because they lend themselves to solutions across the board for mental health and wellness. The second piece that I thought was really interesting was this look at institutions. What if we looked at institutions more specifically? And I've outlined 5 institutions: family, faith, business, and some others, which um, are important in society. Rather than worrying about what those 5 are off the top of my head, the issue is that we address them to see where they create opposition, indifference, or collaboration in the context of what we want to see in the world. And specifically for social determinants and cultural determinants, not just looking at the micro, meso, and macro, but looking at how people feel that the institutions are impacting them. So opposition is one option. Indifference is another option. And then collaboration could be that holy grail. The umbrella for this, if you're curious about looking that up, integrative care. In the context of social determinants of health, integrative care is where we really focus on collaboration, but also not just collaboration between the health apparatus and the clients, but the collaboration among health professionals. So behavioral health, physical health, occupational health, pharmaceutical health, all working together in the context of supporting individuals. The next one is, how is support offered? And there are 3 terms. One of your classmates said this really well. A multi-level, multi-systemic approach is going to have access, safety, and knowledge as its core. So access, how do people access? That's a part of it, but also the comfort with accessing. How do they feel about accessing it? Do they feel like it's convenient but comfortable for them? Safety is another element of the convenience, but also bringing in that transportation component. Is the neighborhood safe? Is it a 24-hour urgent care? Is it safe to be there at 3 in the morning? And then the third piece, knowledge, and specifically the knowledge as in informing choices and providing multiple options. Last thing, I was very gratified that a lot of people talked about language in terms of the cultural component, the cultural determinants of health. And I invite you to look at the CLAS standards, cultural, linguistic, and S. cultural, linguistic, and something standards. Okay. Culturally, linguistic, and appropriate services. That's what it is. Standards. And there are 6 of those: governance, leadership and workforce, community, communication and language assistance, engagement, continuous improvement, and accountability. So make sure you check out the CLAS Standards and see specifically what's going on there, including this idea of the communication and language assistance, which means providing an interpreter.